So you're linking to this video because you are likely struggling with comma splices and your writing in one way or another. So this video is going to introduce you really quickly to what a comma splice is. A comma splice, also called a run-on, occurs when a writer has connected two main clauses with a comma alone. A main clause makes a complete thought, so you should not find a wimpy comma struggling to join two such powerful clauses. So the way to think about a clause is kind of like a sentence. It's a complete thought. It has a subject, also called a noun, and a predicate, also called a verb. So what you're likely doing is you're taking two complete sentences and you're combining them with a comma, which is an incorrect use of a comma. Commas are okay to detect a pause in a sentence, but they don't necessarily tie two sentences together. So let's take a look at an example of a comma splice and a couple ways of how you might fix them. So if we take a look at this example, it says the landlord had just finished paving the driveway, comma, he asked the tenant to park on the street. So if we take a look at the left side of that, on the left side of the comma, it says the landlord had just finished paving the driveway. Now you sort of want to ask yourself, is that a complete sentence? Is it a clause? Does it have a subject and a predicate, or a noun and a verb? The landlord had just finished paving the driveway. So that alone can stand by itself. Now if I look to the right of the comma, it says he asked the tenant to park on the street. Can that alone stand? Is it a sentence? Yes. So this is a comma splice because you're connecting two separate sentences with a comma. So this needs to be fixed. There's three different ways to fix it. One, the simplest way, is to just turn them into two different sentences. So you fix it with a period and a capital letter. The landlord had just finished paving the driveway, period. He asked the tenant to park on the street, period. Another way to do it is you fix it with a semicolon. So the landlord had just finished paving the driveway, semicolon, lowercase h. He asked the tenant to park on the street, period. And then finally, the last way to do it is to fix it with a comma and a joining word, which is also sometimes referred to as a coordinating conjunction. So the landlord had just finished paving the driveway, comma, and so he asked the tenant to park on the street. And that's a perfect use of a comma because there's a pause there. So that's really the way you're trying to use the comma. You just don't have that coordinating conjunction there. But you can't have two independent clauses. Let's take a look at two more examples just so you know this and you can avoid it in future drafts that you're going to submit for this class. So digital technology is changing the world, comma. So many people now have symptoms of attention deficit disorder, ADD. So you can see to the left of the comma, you want to kind of look at the comma, look to the left, look to the right, and ask if each of those can be a complete sentence. Can they each stand on their own? And if they can, again, it's a comma splice. So digital technology is changing the world. Could that be a sentence? Does it have a subject and a predicate, or a noun and a verb? Yes. Digital technology is changing the world. So let's look to the right of it. So many people now have symptoms of attention deficit disorder. Can that be its own sentence? Absolutely. It's got a subject, so many people, and a verb. Now have symptoms of, right, the subject and the predicate. So we need to fix that. First way, just like last time, we change it with a period. Digital technology is changing the world, period. So many people now have symptoms of attention deficit disorder. You can fix it with a semicolon. Digital technology is changing the world, semicolon. So many people now have symptoms of attention deficit disorder. And then finally, you can fix it with a comma and a joining word, or a coordinating conjunction. Digital technology is changing the world, comma, as so many people now have symptoms of attention deficit disorder. And that is a perfect use of a comma, but you need that coordinating conjunction. Finally, let's take a look at this example. Norway has one of the most successful criminal justice systems in the world, comma, they actually focus on rehabilitating inmates. So if I look to the left side of the comma, Norway has one of the most successful criminal justice systems in the world. Can that stand alone? Absolutely, that can be its own sentence. Let's look at the right. They actually focus on rehabilitating inmates. Can that stand alone as an own sentence? Yeah, absolutely. So this is a problem. We have a comma splice. Let's go and fix it. One way, same thing, fix it with a period and a capital letter. Norway has one of the most successful criminal justice systems in the world, period. Then capital T, they actually focus on rehabilitating inmates. Fix it with a semicolon. Norway is one of the most successful criminal justice systems in the world, semicolon. They actually focus on rehabilitating inmates. And then finally, you want to fix it with a comma and a joining word, which I think is kind of one of the best ways to do it, because you do want to use commas in your writing. But Norway has one of the most successful criminal justice systems in the world, comma, for they actually focus on rehabilitating inmates. So that's comma splices. What you want to do is you want to focus on making sure that those are not in your writing.